Hello, welcome to What She's Thinking. I'm your host, Greg Schwartz, your coach for online dating. I'm asking a group of women questions on dating, sex, and other topics, all submitted by men like you. To get your questions answered, go to makeonlinedatingfun.com/questions. A few announcements. I'm changing the name of my company to Debug Dating. Don't worry, the podcast name is staying the same. But you can check out all of the different things I'm doing at facebook.com/debugdating. Second is that I'm offering office hours each Wednesday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live. You can get more details on those that'll happen each Wednesday in February at facebook.com/debugdating. Third, if you're in the San Francisco or the LA areas, I'm offering some workshops. On February 12th, I'll be offering a workshop in San Francisco at 6:30 p.m. on getting a date for Valentine's Day, because it's 2 days later. If you're in the Los Angeles area, I'll be offering a workshop on February 26th, also at 6:30 p.m., and that'll be on getting the first dates that you want. To find out more information about either of those, go to facebook.com/debugdating. So here's the interview.
Hi, I am Miss J. I'm not from the United States. I grew up in Asia and Europe, and I moved here to San Francisco 4 years ago. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm a very adventurous person. I've traveled to over 300 cities in 45 countries all over the world. I love exploring. I love to do new things, new experiences, like new tastes, new sounds. And I'm pretty outgoing, but I like to also do my own thing, and I'm pretty independent. I'm looking for guys who are, on the same wavelength as me, that we can keep each other engaged, excited about life, and, have a match on sort of like intellect as well. But at the same time, can be silly, and we can goof around and, be playful, joke around. I love that. And someone who I can see myself, settling down with and build a family together. I think the vibe I have, because I'm an entrepreneur, I have my own company. I think people see me as like, ooh, she's like the boss lady. That's how it comes across. But I actually think there's a very feminine side. I love dancing, I love like being, sort of, taken care of by guys. Like I said, I love guys who show initiative. So there's that very like, you're sort of like, oh, I want to be the little lady that gets taken care of. But at the same time, who I am is I'm the boss lady. I tell people what to do all the time, but not that I don't do that in relationships, but it's all about finding a balance and partnership. I want the guy now to make the decisions and make the plans.
Hi, I'm BL. I'm 30. I'm a very extroverted, goofy, silly, playful person. I don't take life too seriously, very laid back. I like a partner who can keep up and go on adventures and not take themselves too seriously, that can joke around and take a joke. I run my own company and I'm a performer, so I work a lot. I'm very independent. I too am not from the United States. I was born in Scandinavia, so I'm tall compared to the average American woman.
And to really explain her personality, she is currently doing like a marching band style, and that's me going off the stage.
Jazz hands, Yeah, I'm a performer, so I have a really big personality. You kind of love it or hate it, and that's fine. The people who hate it, they just don't hang out with me, and the people who love me don't love me in spite of it. They love me because I'm a weirdo.
Hi, so I am LLJT. I am a mid-30 woman that had lived in Asia, Europe, and in the US for the last 12 years. So I consider myself a very goofy, active, also very serious person. I think I am. Well, I got a lot of comments from the first impression that I'm kind of serious, but I'm actually not that serious. But I guess depends, what you consider serious. And I liked a lot of energy, so I think I have above average energy level. Still do. I would also appreciate to have a partner that is at a similar level of energy as me and open to do things or experience something new. I'm a recruiter, so I guess my way of finding a partner is sort of like recruiting. I always do the first phone interview and then in-person interview, and then we have a 90 days trial period. I found it, it's working. It's totally working. Currently, I think I'm at a stage of my life that I'm looking for something very serious, like a husband, family, potentially kids to settle down. I consider myself a sassy sweetie. I'm also sweet at the same time, and it's not just sassy. So you got both. Actually, if you can take the worst side of me, then you get the best, great side of me. I would say I'm a full package of both.
What first date activities have you really enjoyed?
Dinner, drinks. That's usually what I do. First date.
That's what I do first date a lot, but sometimes it's actually nice to switch it up.
Yeah.
I enjoy like outdoor activities as a first date. It's rare, but being in San Francisco, like the weather is so beautiful sometimes. You can like go on a hike or, go for a walk or stroll on the Embarcadero, like grab coffee. It's just more like fluid, and you get to see somebody like in the daylight too.
Yeah,
which is
definitely
refreshing.
I would agree with the hike. I feel like dinner is a big commitment, especially if it's an online date. So a drink, you can be like, okay, cool. Yes or no. Pretty quickly. Dinner, you're like, oh, I have to sit through an hour of this if it's a no. And so that's not fun. But the hike is nice. I've had a guy try to ask me out to a cruise on a blind first date, and like one of those sunset cruises, the cocktail cruise. And I was thinking,
Wow.
no, I'm not going to get on a boat with someone I don't know and then ship off to sea. No.
Well, I think it depends. If I've already talked to the guy, maybe I had a better understanding of how he is, and I really liked him just based on the profile, the talk. I always do a phone interview first before I go out and meet the person. Well, I'm a recruiter.
Phone interview.
So
I like
I always a phone interview. If it passed it, yes, we'll do an in-person meeting. Yes. So
in-person meeting.
Now, is this executive dating?
right, and there will be a 90 days trial period.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, all right.
But you're right. I don't commit to too much time. Maybe the first, ideally, it was just a drink of coffee.
Yeah.
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 Because then if it's great, cool, then go get dinner,
Mm-hmm.
I did talk to somebody recently, a guy, not somebody I dated, but just a friend, who said that he's actually never been on a first date that lasted less than 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was telling him, I had a good date, a good first date. It was like 3 or 4 hours long. And he's like, really? That's kind of normal. All my first dates are 5 hours.
Okay, but how long are his second
What do you
dates?
do?
And how many first dates has he been on? Because that sounds like he's been on 3.
We didn't talk about that,
Okay.
but he is with somebody now, and it's pretty serious. So he's in a steady relationship. But I was very, very surprised to hear that.
One thing I've noticed a lot recently, not just with myself, but with some of my girlfriends, is that we'll get asked to brunch for a first date. And I think that's great, because even if it's great, then cool, you have the whole day to go hang out. You can do a hike afterward. If it's awful, well, at least there were mimosas and waffles, some eggs, Benny. Like, who doesn't love brunch?
Yeah.
So if you could choose any any activity for your next first date, what would that be and why?
I recently went to the Thursday nightlife at the Exploratorium.
Yeah.
Even though I've never gone there on a date, but I was like, wow, this is a great dating spot. Cause first of all, it's at night, so there are drinks, right? And it's for adults, and you get to walk around, and you get to interact with, the exhibitions and all that kinds of stuff. So you're not just like sitting across from each other, like talking. If it's not a good conversation, if the guy is boring or whatever, at least in the Exploratorium, you can just explore things. And if it is a good date, then, there's so many things to do there, and you get to see each other like in action, like physically. in action, right? There's a lot of like cute little, booths that you can go into and, like little things that you can touch and stuff. Yeah.
Like his bicep. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
No, actually, that would be great.
Hello. I'm sorry, is this not supposed to be a comedy podcast?
No, bit of both.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think an interactive experience is always better than just sitting there, because if you're just sitting there, you end up having the exact same first date conversation that you've had on every first date. So, yeah, something that you can do with the person that you'd like to do.
Well, if for me, I would prefer something outdoorsy and a little physical, like hiking, because I like the date to be more engaged. Like two people can be more engaged to each other, versus you go to an event, you get distracted by all the stuff and people. So you can't really see. I know that, yes, you have the option of, okay, if I don't like him, at least I enjoy the event. But to me, it's just a hike. I can see how fit he is. If he's caring enough, if I need help, if I get tired, I want to see if he's showing any care, or, all these. I think that, and I like to see it in interaction, like, if we coordinated the, like, little trip, say, like a day trip, maybe too long, maybe just a hike. So, coordinating from picking up, finding a place to go, so I can see how compatible we are when it comes to planning. So I like that kind of, interactions, and then more engaging when it comes to a date, first date.
Oh my God, the planning is so key. A man with a plan. I'm like, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
my God.
If I get a text that says, hey,
Concur.
do you want to meet me at 8:45 at brass tacks? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
And see if he's on time.
thank you.
Yeah.
If I'm late a little bit, what's his reaction?
Right.
Yeah. I love it when the guy comes up with a plan, so you don't have to think about
Nothing
it.
worse than, I don't know, what do you want to do?
Since it's currently the winter holidays, what first dates are you most excited by?
I don't know that this is the best first date, but there's this really adorable ice skating rink right outside of the courthouse
yeah.
with
I
the
was
trees
gonna
that
say
light
that.
up. It's much better than the Union Square and the Embarcadero rinks because it's more adorable and romantic. I want to go do that.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be a first date. It could be other dates.
And I would agree, like some winter activities, like go to a Christmas market if there is one. I think there is. Yeah. Drink hot toddies.
Christmas part, I guess. Yeah.
Some
Mulled
wassail.
wine.
Saturnalia, a raunchy circus Christmas. Just had to plug that.
It's okay. Totally understandable. What ways do you like men to create connection on a first date?
Eye contact, conversation. I don't like it to be too touchy, like physical. On a first date, I think that's a red flag for me. But definitely eye contact, and I can see through his eyes. Like they always say, eyes are the window of your heart. So yeah, I'll look into the eyes and see.
I think for me, it's like being engaged and curious. I've been on a date where this guy, he just kept on talking about himself, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. He was talking for an hour or something. And I am a relatively curious person, so I'm actually okay to listen, and I'll actually ask questions in between. But he just didn't ask one single question about what do I do, who I am. And in the end, we obviously didn't go on a second date, but in the end he said, oh, I'm sorry, it's just that I talk a lot when I get nervous. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. At least, there's a reason behind that. But if it's not that, right? If it's just regular, like a guy who's just like self-centered and just talking about himself, that's a turn off.
I like somebody who's willing to get a little goofy, be silly.
Yeah,
if you can be silly and joke around with
Sense
me
of
and
humor definitely is very important.
Oh, totally.
Make funny faces or impressions or do silly things, that's key.
Does your work affect your dating life? And obviously, since that's a yes, more like how does it affect your dating life?
Yes, it does. If I'm, very stressful at work, or if I have a busy schedule, it's very hard for me to feel in the mood to go out and have a great time with somebody. I think it's just not me. When I'm stressful, I can't be the fun me or the actual myself. So yes to that question.
I think for me, it's like recently I moved to Oakland and I find that to be now a little bit challenging because if I'm meeting somebody, most of the times, I meet people in the city, in San Francisco, and coordinating schedules around, when I'm available, and depends on the traffic, all of that. It has become, I've noticed that it's become challenging. But other than that, unless I'm traveling, but I feel like these days it's both parties, right? People have such busy lives and everybody has like commitments and things that they're doing. And, traveling is, that's what my experience is, that makes it hard.
I run my own businesses, so, and they're kind of offbeat ones, so I end up working on nights and weekends a lot. So it does affect dating a lot. And when I get busy, I get slammed, and then I'll have a week where it's not so bad and I can go do anything on any day. But that's kind of hard for a lot of people who work in offices to relate to. So I'll give you an example that's real. It exists now. There was this guy on Hinge who messaged me, and I said, hey, I'm really busy. I'm opening this show. Like, I won't have time to meet you until afterward. Like, sorry. And he was really great about it, and he was really patient about it. And then I got sick for a week, so I just haven't responded to him in like 2 weeks. And I haven't forgotten. Sorry, dude. If you're out there listening, my apology. I got sick. I'll get back to you. I'm sorry. I'm an asshole. I don't know. It's never personal though.
Yeah.
When it comes to work stuff, it's like, oh,
right.
okay.
It's really just like I don't have the mood to do that. I don't feel happy, or I don't feel like meeting somebody. I probably just want to rest, recharge by myself.
It's when it's not you, it's me is actually true.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
So follow on to that. What do you want a guy to do, or what would you like a guy to do when you're in that sort of work stress mode and you're not available? How do you want him to act or interact with you?
Well, are you talking about some guy that we already met, or like a new person we're just messaging on an app?
Probably both, but let's do let's first just say someone you're messaging on an app. So, the example you just gave.
So this example, I think he did it perfectly. He remembered when things were supposed to calm down for me, and he wished me good luck on it. And then I need to sorry. But just a friendly, because there was another guy that I went on a date with, and I told him the exact same thing, and his response was, what? I don't get to see you for a whole week? And I was like, yeah, calm down, dude. We've been on one date, and it's a week, and it's not gonna kill you. And it wasn't that great of a first date, so it'll be a lot longer than a week for you.
So it sounds like sort of be patient and remember when you're going to be available. Is that right?
Yeah. A nice little, hey, good luck, or hey, I still exist and I'm still interested, but I'm patient and polite, I think is really nice.
Obviously, definitely understanding, right? And also be persistent. Just don't forget about me, just because I was busy or I didn't respond, but then check in again. I gave guys credits for reaching out again, not on a crazy, frequency, like, every day or like,
yeah.
But like, I told him that I'm busy, then maybe in a few days, I would say 2-3 days he checked in and see how I'm doing, not pushing to meet up or doing anything or asking anything from me, but just to check in and show care, show, interest. And I think, sometimes the chat close on those dating app, if the guy actually come back and reopen it, then I guess, to me that it's making a second impression that, okay, he is really interested, then yes, I would probably respond and give him more attention in this case.
Yeah, I agree with the being proactive and persistent. I like that a lot. And I add a lot of points to guys who don't just give up after one go. If I say I'm busy and then he disappears, then,
Are you even going to remember that guy?
I think
I don't know the look on your face.
It's a history,
maybe
right? It's a chat history.
Wait a minute. So if we've already been messaging.
Oh, okay.
And, if it's somebody that I actually would be open to meeting, but it just so happens, say, I'm out of town for next week, right? And if he just gives up there and then, to me, that's like, oh, he's probably not interested enough, right? He's probably chatting to 5 girls at the same time to see which one will meet up tomorrow maybe, I don't know, whatever he's up to, right? Whatever he's looking for. So the fact that if I tell him I'm going to be out for a week and he actually remembers and kind of pings back later on shows that, oh, he's actually really trying to meet with me. So that gives, I mean, I add a lot of points to guys who do that.
So guys, basically, be patient, reach out occasionally, and put a time in your calendar when you think they're going to be available, and then really reach out and say, hey, you available for a date now?
Yeah.
And extra points if the guy show support. Like they not only they're not pushing you, but then and understand you, but then also they actually try to understand what you're struggling with and provide support. You know, either some from his previous experience or any suggestion, advice. You know, I found this really charming. I think the guys could do that. But I'm not asking for that, you know, I'm not expecting that because we literally probably just don't know each other or haven't met yet. But I would say this is definitely a plus.
Get some extra points for saying good luck on your show tonight.
Yeah,
or, things like
or
that.
you know, and try to give me some tips, or if he knows what I'm talking about, you know, that's good.
Compared to the average woman, is your sex drive higher, the same, or lower?
There's
Yeah.
a stereotype that women don't like sex,
Yeah, that's not true.
but
Definitely not.
Not
like,
true.
Not true.
Not true at all.
I think I'm no prude, but average?
yeah, I think,
Maybe
I think
it
average-
skews a little higher than average. I don't know.
So, yeah, think of it in comparison to your friends. Do you notice that when you're talking about dating and sex, overall you tend to be talking about or more interested in sex than most of your friends, or less interested, or about the same?
I feel like men don't realize how much women will talk to their girlfriends about sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason I'm phrasing it that way.
Like, that we will tell our friends if you do something weird.
Tell the listening audience
But we'll
more.
also tell our friends if you do something good.
I think I talk about. It depends, right? You know, my culture is probably in terms of comparing to the local. How should I face this? The local culture here.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not from the U.S., but I just noticed that I tend to talk about sex more than my girlfriends.
Really?
So I still think that I have average need, but just I'm more open talking about it. And I think it's very important when it comes to a relationship, whether it's a happy relationship or not. That's definitely very important to me.
Yeah, I think I'm average too. I'm definitely not below average. I know that because sometimes I'll talk to my girlfriends and I'm like, wow, you can hold off for that long. And, but then there are also girls who are higher than me. So that's where I'm kind of getting my assessment in. You know, I'm definitely like somewhere in the middle.
I told my friends about a guy I was super smitten with. And she goes, oh, was this guy? And I said, yeah. And I think she asked one more question. And the third question was, so how's the D? And she was totally serious. And I told her. I gave her a very thorough review.
So, guys, yes, the stereotype that women won't talk to their girlfriends about this is the exact opposite of the truth. They will definitely talk about the sex they have with us. A lot.
Just watch Sex in the City.
I was going to say, is that a stereotype?
know.
Do guys not think that we won't? How do they not know that
The
we'll
reason why
talk?
the show's so popular is because we do talk about it a lot.
It's so true. Well, I rewatched it not that long ago, and I was like, ooh, they're so prudish, actually.
I know, right? It's such an old show, but they still make points.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even
it's-
nowadays, you watch that
Still
again.
applies.
So.
Everything applies. Yeah.
So, getting a little more mathematical, say you're in a relationship that's, you know, a good, trusting relationship. What is your optimum number of times to have sex, let's say a week?
Well, it depends what stage is the relationship, right? I mean, when you just got into it's a new, fresh relationship, it definitely the frequency is going to be higher. But when you get into like a long-term, stable relationship, I would say after a year or two, it's going to be different, right? So depends what stage.
So let's just do both. For the early stage, what would you say?
I would say, are you talking about like how many times a night, or are you talking about how many times a week?
How many times a week?
Yes.
I suppose you could answer both. I mean, you know, I more meant how many times a week, but how many times a night do you have in mind?
Recently, I had a really great experience. So 5 times a night.
Nice. Now, to be clear, is that 5 orgasms, or is that 5 sexual?
Orgasms.
Okay.
Wait, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
And now,
Both of us. It was great.
wait, you stopped seeing this person?
No.
Oh, good.
I got the hint.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. So no, what I meant is how many sessions of sex would you like to have in a week?
A week.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it depends how many times you get to see each other, right? It's really, I would say ideally at least 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's about the same. I would say if you're not living together,
Mm-hmm.
at least twice would be good. I mean, or if you live close by, if you don't live close by, right? Somebody actually has to get out of their way to get to the other person. But if you live around the corner, it could be more, 3, 4.
Yeah, I'd agree. It just depends on logistics.
It is about logistics.
Yeah, if you have to, if there's a bridge between you, yeah, cramp.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
I'll have to wake up at 6 tomorrow morning as well, to go to
Yeah.
work. It
Yeah.
depends on what you're doing the next day.
And it also depends on how often you get
You're
to see each other,
traveling.
Right, but-
if
yeah.
you moved in already, that's going to be a different story because you see each other almost every day, 24/7. The
Right.
drive's going to be a little lower.
See,
you know?
I guess I think of it as out of the times that I get to see you, how many of those times are we having sex? And I would like it to be 95.
Nice. What are your top 2 languages of love?
Oh,
We're talking
That
about
I
that
for
the 5
receiving or
love
for
the
giving?
5 love languages, right?
We're talking about the 5 love languages, and I would say both receiving and giving, but receiving in particular.
Okay.
Yeah, my top 2 are physical touch and quality time. I heard that's less women have that. It's more a lot of guys get those 2.
No, I think
that's
it's talked to a
what
lot of people.
That's
I've been
more
told.
a stereotype than a
Stereotype.
Okay.
reality.
Okay.
I
But
think
that's actually part
physical
of the
touch
reason I
is
do
pretty
this.
common. Everybody's
Okay.
saying that physical touch, it's the top 3 or 2. So mine's physical touch and act of service.
Yeah, receiving, I think, would be physical touch and quality time, but giving, it's definitely acts of service and physical touch.
Is it different for giving for either of you?
Oh, so I was talking about receiving.
Yes.
Giving, I want to say it's physical touch, but I feel like the guy's only getting it anyway, so I don't need to put him on top. They're going to come and get it anyway. So to give, words of affirmation and quality time.
I think for me, the gifts are acts of service and quality time and physical touch. But yeah, that's icing on the cake. It's just given,
How does stress affect your libido, particularly around your work?
Pretty bad. I think it's not good. I mean, how does it?
Yeah, what happens?
You didn't feel like communicating much. Lower sex drive. I'd say less patient.
For me, no. For me, it's the opposite. I mean, not the opposite, but it doesn't affect me at all. Sometimes it actually drives up my libido.
It could help. If the guys do it right, it's actually. I mean, how to say? I probably want it because that's gonna help me to relieve my stress. So if they actually rub me in the right way, yes, it probably would increase it, but that's not a very usual case.
Yeah, for me, that's totally what I like. Cause when I'm stressed, I actually want to go out and just, basically have sex and take the stress off my head. So I'm not thinking about it. And it's pleasurable, so it really kind of puts you into it puts me into a different world, and the stress is just gone. So it doesn't affect it negatively, at all.
I would say for me it's just a time thing. I don't think it affects it one way or the other libido-wise. If I'm stressed, it's because I'm working an 18-hour day, at which point I probably didn't see you anyway.
Makes sense. So since you two were both talking about how sometimes it can actually increase your libido if the guy rubs you the right way, as you put it, what is rubbing you the right way? Yeah, obviously not literally, or maybe it is.
Oh, I thought she meant that literally.
That too, both. I would say both. Yes, a nice massage, of course, and I would say, since I receive love with act of service, so, if they're being supportive and they help me with what I'm struggling with, and at least, if not actually helping me, but psychologically being helpful and supportive, wine and dine me or do something, anything that I like, or maybe gifts, that really help. And those would be the right way. Bouquet of flowers, I'm not talking about like expensive gifts, but like thoughtful gifts.
Who doesn't want flowers?
I know.
Exactly.
One thing about the flower things, I feel like guys are like, oh, that's too cliche. It's too
No, it's not.
old school, but it's not. We
not.
always like flowers. We'll never say no to flowers. So
Exactly.
I want to make this very clear to guys, because don't forget that, I know it's old school, but it's very effective.
Yeah, listen up, guys. Flowers. That'll do it.
I have a friend who has a flower guy that he goes to.
Oh, that's smart.
Now, this friend gets laid. Just saying.
I know there's so many like guys who say, "Oh, I'm just not romantic," but you don't have to be romantic. You can just. It's not a lot of effort just to go and buy.
Right.
There's plenty of like florists around the street corner. Just grab something.
And it doesn't have to
makes
be
such a big difference
for
women.
It doesn't have to be a huge presentation. It could be just, maybe.
Yeah.
Flower.
It could be just a rose you picked from the garden.
Exactly. Or from the street. Right?
Yeah.
It's romantic.
Yeah.
So what can your partner do to help you be open and clear with your sexual requests?
Ask.
Tell us
Ask the question. If you don't ask me what I like, well, I will tell you, but I find maybe not everybody does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
some people are shy.
True.
Yeah, the reaction I get when I take control is, oh. So that leads me to believe that other women aren't necessarily doing that, but...
Women telling men what they want in sex is exceedingly rare.
Well, then you should fucking ask. Do you want the good review at brunch with the girlfriends the next day? Or do you want the sad review? Right. Ask, and you'll get the good review.
I think there's an art of asking here. I think if the guys approach me as like after a good time, right? Not like after a bad time, like, oh, let's do the review, the bad performance. Well, that could be, but I think a lot of time guys won't ask if they sense it's not good. But after you have a good time, then you can sort of, hey, by the way, I really like you did this. How about you? What do you like me to do? Like that kind of feedback session that it's mutual both ways, and communication definitely. I would say maybe over some wines. When both of you are relaxed and feel loosen up, then you can talk about it. Doesn't have to be right after sex. Could be over dinner and just in a good as it when is a good time. I would say it's just easier for me to open up and talk about it. Yeah, not after a fight or not super stressful. Like that's not gonna help, right? It's just what is a good time. I would say it's very important.
Fight.
Yes,
you're so rude. How do you like me to go down on you?
No way!
I think for me, the best sex I've had is actually when we're talking during sex. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying like, oh, we're having a conversation. But, stuff like small things like, oh yeah, I really like that. Or, oh, do you like me doing this?
That feels good.
Oh yeah, that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Or oh, a little more this way.
Exactly. I actually say it out loud when it's like, okay, that's
Fuck
good.
me hard!
And I actually really like it when I think the guys pick up on it totally. They get it. They're like, oh, she likes that. Okay, let me keep on doing this.
Oh, some of the best sex I've ever had is with a guy who was like, oh, I noticed you really like it when I do this. And I went, oh, yes, and. Oh, and that just got even better.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, just like improv, yes and is your friend.
It is.
Actually, to follow on to that, how do you like men to ask what you like in sex? Like, is there a way that works better or a way that works worst?
How would you like men to ask?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
I guess that's going to be my answer to all of this is it's not that hard. We don't have to play that game.
Don't play game. Yeah.
No, it's not that fucking hard. What do you like is suitable. If you're looking for something more specific, give an option, and that's nice too. Like,
okay.
For
do
me,
you want me to do this or that?
Yeah, for me, it's actually while they're already doing it. Mm-hmm. And then they ask me, do you like this? Or do you like me touching you here? And I've actually been with guys who are very good at asking. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Because I can just say yes or no.
You can also read the room. Like, if it's obviously not working, you can say something like, oh, what can I do differently? Or if it's working well, you can do what this guy that I referred to did, which was, oh, I noticed you like this. What else?
And I have I actually ask back too.
Mm-hmm.
I actually ask guys, hey, do you like me touching you here? Like, for example, I really love touching guys' hair, like a lot, excessively. And I'm actually thinking, wait, is he like annoyed by this excessive touching? So I actually ask a little bit before, right? Like, while I'm doing it. And most of the times they're like, yeah, I like it. So
I like to pull on the hair.
That just gives me a sense of, so I don't have to think about it anymore. It's all about communication.
Yeah. As we so often say on this podcast, it's all about communication. And again, ask, do you like this? Or maybe give some options.
Right.
But don't just say, what do you want? Thanks for listening. To help other men find the podcast, please rate it on iTunes and write a review. Also, I'd love to hear your feedback. Which question did you find most helpful? Email me, greg@makeonlinedatingfun.com. And remember, to get your questions answered, go to makeonlinedatingfun.com/questions.